What's going on, YouTube? I hope you guys are having a blessed day. I'm having a great one myself. And I wanted to do a video to give you guys a backstory about myself as to why and how I fell in love with video games and how I got started collecting video games in the first place and how I amassed such a large collection of video games so far as I've grown up. And big part of the reason why I love video games so much is this guy on top of my head, as you can see with this hat on, and this right here, Sonic the Hedgehog, the character. To those of you who know me personally, Sonic the Hedgehog is my favorite video game character of all time. To those of you who don't know me personally, you know now. But Sonic has always been a big part of my collecting and video game just love and addiction. Of course, I'm gonna call it an addiction of video games. But video games have been a big part of my life because of Sonic the Hedgehog. But the bigger reason why I love video games so much is because of my wonderful parents that I've been able to say they're my parents. And my dad specifically, he knew my love for video games when I was a young kid playing Tecmo Bowl with him on the NES, and how I would get so angry and frustrated when I couldn't make a touchdown. And I couldn't beat my dad in Tecmo Bowl to save my life. Like, I sucked at it terribly. But him and I, when we used to play, it was always such fun. I loved it very much. I love playing video games with my dad. One of the best things we do all the time, and even to this day, we love Madden. And that's one of my favorite and fond memories of my life, is playing video games with my dad, and playing specifically Madden, because we always talk trash with each other. But he knew when I was a kid, video games were going to be a big part of my life, and he knew I was always going to love them. And my first video game console that I actually was able to say that was mine was a Sega Genesis that my parents gave me for Christmas. And one of the first video games that I actually played was Sonic the Hedgehog. And from that point on, Sonic the Hedgehog has always been a part of my life in such a way. And he's just that character that I've always found some type of real relationship with. I mean, he's cool, he's fast, he got this, don't care, I'm gonna do what I want attitude, go wherever I want, do whatever I want attitude. And he's my favorite color, he's blue. I mean, who doesn't like the color blue? But Sonic has made my life some type of way, and he's made this connection with me. And, I know some people probably be like, how can a video game character, relate to you in such a way? And he just does. And he has such a great persona. And I love the way that he is just portrayed and how he was, his story and what he does. Well, as I grew up, Sonic the Hedgehog wasn't the only character that I found a very, a big love for. I mean, there's so many other characters in the world that made such a big influence on people. You have Mario, you have Master Chief from Halo, Commander Shepard from Mass Effect, Doom Slayer, of course, Doom Guy, we're gonna call him, of course. Sora from Kingdom Hearts, who I love extremely, Mega Man, and so many other characters out there in the world that, well, video games are just a big part of my life, and I love them. And they've made me such a way, they allow me to grow into the person that I am because of just how they make me feel. They can make me feel some type of emotion that you may not ever feel from a movie or a TV show or reading a book. And they, you can drop into a video game, pick up the controller, and feel the world that you're jumping into in the video game. It might even, you just want to feel yourself in the video game. And video games can do that for you. And they make you feel such emotions like happiness, sadness, anger, frustration, confusion even. And video games have done that for a lot of different people. And they've done it for me as I've grown up. And because of my parents, and they gave me everything I wanted when I was growing up. They gave me every game console I could ask for. Anytime a new game console would come out, they would automatically just go and get it because they knew I was going to want it. They got me everything from a Super Nintendo, a Dreamcast. I wish I would have had Sega Saturn back in the day. Man, it would have been awesome. But PS1, PS2, Xbox 360, the original Xbox. And I mean, any game system that was around, of course, during my time, I got it. And it was thanks to those two. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I appreciate the both of you guys. I love y'all. But they're the biggest reasons why I fell in love with video games in the first place. And as I got older, of course, with the unfortunate circumstance of what happened in New Orleans with Katrina, of course, we had to leave for that reason because of Katrina. Well, I lost a big part of my video games. I lost a lot of my video game collection that I had as I was growing up. But it was also a blessing in disguise because leaving New Orleans because of Katrina, I was able to amass all the things that I lost in some type of way and gain even more through such blessings from so many different people. And people knew how much I love video games, and they would be like, hey, I'm gonna give you this, and I get you this, and we'll get you this system, and I got these games that my kids don't play anymore, you can have them. And that's where my video game collecting phase started to really kick in. And when I got to be a little bit older is when it really started. When I got to being able to work for, and get a job and make my own money where I don't even have to ask my parents, like, hey, I need you to buy me this game and that game. Working, I was able to just, buy the video games I want, buy the stuff that I wanted. And I used to work for Best Buy. And that's where I really started buying video games on a regular day-to-day basis. When a new game dropped, I bought it. Well, at least not every game, but at least some games that I felt that were actually worth buying. And of course, when you work and you're a kid, you didn't know the whole meaning of money at one point or another. But, video games were just such a big part. I had such a passion for them, and I would always just get video games. And eventually I left Best Buy and I started working for a local video game store. And it was only like a couple of doors away from Best Buy. So I started working there, and then that's when my video game collection really took off. And my bosses were so cool because they knew how much I love video games. And I mean, we work in a video game store. If you work in a video game store, most likely you have some type of passion or love for video games. And it's not for everybody. Of course, some people work at video game stores just because they want to work there. But some people really work at video game stores because they have a passion for it. And I did. Well, my bosses knew that, and they would help me get so many different games. They would be getting trades from people, and they'd be like, hey, I found this, I got that, were you interested? And they'll hook me up, they'll give me deals. They may give me a game for almost little to nothing. We might buy it. I might buy the game for what we bought it in for from the trade, or they'll hook me up on a deal with a discount or something like that for a certain game, a high price game at that, like if it's rare or valuable, things like that. And that's where it really, really started to take off in such a way where I've now amassed such a large collection. And as I was growing up and getting into my 20s and growing up into my 20s, my mom was like, you got too many video games and you need to put these somewhere else. You need to find your own space. I was like, man, my mom's going to probably make me buy a storage unit because I have so many video games and collecting them so much. And I had my room full of just video games. It was just so many of them. But of course, my mom would make fun of me about it. My dad would be like, that's his thing. That's his hobby. It's cool. And my mom was like, it's too much. But I know my mom's probably laughing at me talking about this. But my love for video games just grew even more as I got older. And once I got to a point where I was able to make some real money in buying consoles when they would come out, like the PS4, the Wii U, the Xbox One and things like that. As I got older, of course, in the past few years, my video game collection has grown exponentially. And I've made deals with people. I would trade. I would, go to different local video game stores in my city, and I would get to know the owners of the store, and they would help me and give me some hookups or some deals on video games, and to be like, hey, we got this one, I wanted to buy that. Well, I'll give you this for this price and whatnot. And that's how I was able to buy so many video games. That's why I have so many to this day. And what you guys see behind me is just a piece of that. And some of these are from the past maybe 2.5, 3 years. And my video game collection is something that I treasure more than a lot of different things. My love for video games to this day is still strong as it's ever been. I love collecting video games. I love playing them. And I love how a video game can relate to you in such a way where it makes you remember, just how your childhood was. And there's so many video games in the world, and there's so many childhood memories I have of video games, and especially with my friends, my parents. It's such a great thing to have, and I hope that video games will continue to do that for me, for when I have kids of my own, and for so many other people out there. Video game collecting for me is something fun. It's passionate. Of course, the past few years have been a little bit toxic with so many people all of a sudden collecting quote unquote video games now, and they want to be collectors because they have such a passion for it. But, and it's not to throw shade at anybody, but I do it because it's fun. I do it because it's something that I enjoy to do. It makes my day better, and it's fun. I can't stop buying video games, and I can't help the fact of how a video game purchase just makes me feel, especially when I go out and just go treasure hunting and finding a cool deal on something, or a video game that I may not have ever heard of, or just seeing people buying, trading, talking about video games, and just getting to just relate to each other and make friends even because of a video game that you guys may have seen or were talking about. So that's pretty much my story as to how I got started and why I fell in love with video games in the first place. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me a ton. Like, comment, and share with your friends and family. Let me know what you guys think about it. And of course, if you haven't done so as well, hit that notification bell. It lets you know when I'm dropping a new video, when it comes out and everything. I hope you guys have a blessed day. I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. And to those of you who, if you're watching this video and you're not really much of a gamer, believe me, there's a video game out there for you. There's a video game out there for so many other people. And when you find that one video game, you'll know why and how I feel when I found my first video game, when this guy right here made me feel it for the first time. And with that being said, the king has spoken. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.